Welcome back to I Hate International Football. Get me out of here.
Yeah. Oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Oh, you beauty. International footy is done and dusted till March. Rob, Travis, how good does that feel? 4 months of pure Premier League, Champions League, and unfortunately for me, Europa League ball.
It's amazing.
Our sticker trials are just about to start, bro.
Oh, we made it. The 3rd. September, October, November, 3 international breaks, all done. And now it's the playoffs only in March, as far as I know. So other than a bit of a mid-season break at the end of January, which I think, if it's the same as last time, they stagger it. So half the teams will have a week off. So the other half will play, and then the other half will have. So hopefully that's just a clean 2 weeks with some ball, not no ball at all. But anyway, we'll worry about that towards the end of January. Robert, thanks for joining us again. Travis, as always, thanks. Let's get straight into it. Arsenal away to Brentford. We've got to start right at the top. Rob, Aaron Ramsdale's dad going on podcasts. It definitely has an element of John Fury thinking he's the main event just because Tyson Fury's the champion of the world. Aaron Ramsdale, dad, what on earth was he thinking, and how much must Mikel Arteta hate Aaron Ramsdale's dad now? There's no positive outcome from this, is there? Let's be honest.
I think it's just more evidence as to why he's not in the side. I think there's been a breakdown in communication between Arteta and Ramsdale. When that's happened, I'm not sure. He's looked at Raya and seen that as an opportunistic signing, a signing that he could make, because he obviously was thinking going into the season, I'll stick with Ramsdale, but if something comes along, I'll try and get a keeper, because there's clearly been a breakdown in communication between Ramsdale and Arteta, and it feels as though now, I remember saying on a pod not long ago that I felt he would go in the summer, but I feel now there's a possibility he could probably go in January, because his camper are pushing and they're releasing stuff like the podcast that suggests that he's obviously not happy at the club, and it's clear the manager's not happy with him at the club. So I think if they get some good money for him in January, I think he'll go. I've not listened to the podcast myself.
You see the comments though.
I've seen snippets from the podcast, and felt as though his dad was a little bit disrespectful to Raya. It's some of the things that he was saying, and it's just a little bit embarrassing. Whether Ramsdale's dad spoke to Aaron himself before and said, "Look, I'm going to do this podcast," but surely, if your dad's going on to do a podcast and you're having that conversation and saying, "Look, Dad, I don't really want you saying this. I don't really want you saying that," or you're just saying, "I don't really want you to go on the podcast." Full stop.
I'm a grown man. Let me deal with this and leave in January if that is the outcome.
Exactly. But the problem is now he's got to play. He's got to play on Saturday, of course. So
this is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
As luck would have it, it's Brentford next. Raya is kind of cup-tied, so to speak, as in he can't play against his parent club. No. It's just awkward every way you look at it.
And are we going to get, because when Raya came in, everyone was talking about, this will show you how good Aaron Ramsdale is. He's going to fight for his place. He's going to, his performances are going to go to another level. But the time he's come out was against West Ham in the League Cup, and he had a really poor game. And now this is his second opportunity to show, are we going to get a top performance from Ramsdale, or are we going to get a performance where it feels like he's down tools already and he just wants out the club? That's my worry going into the weekend. We've got a keeper that isn't happy at the club, clearly.
Travis, was it naive of Aaron Ramsdale? Let's be honest, this is on Aaron Ramsdale. As Rob just alluded to, he would have known that his dad was going on this podcast and give it the green light. Is it naive? Should he have just said, just stay off it, let me deal with it? And it's obviously put him in this horrendous position on Saturday now. As Rob kind of just said, he's got to pull out a worldie out of the bag, or it's just going to intensify the speculation, the pressure even more. It's just, there was no positive outcome of this. I'm in shock, basically.
Yeah, he definitely had to take control of the situation. Like you said, with your dad going on the podcast, speaking about sort of his current career and the situation, it was never going to end well, whatever his dad said about the situation. Because his dad, all parents, I'm not a parent, but I can envisage all parents are going to be protective of the children no matter what. So he's only saying from a natural standpoint how he feels about the situation and how Aaron's probably feels about it behind closed doors, and has probably told him that in confidence. But to come out in a podcast, like you said, it is a bit naive. It's a bit silly of him to come and do that. But if you rewind back to when this situation sort of started and occurred and the transfer was happening, I know we used to have bants on Twitter about it, but it was just never going to end well. Do you know what I mean? Two pretty good keepers fighting for one spot. I think goalkeeper is the one position where you just can't have two top quality people fighting for one position. One is always going to be unhappy, especially in Arsenal's position, fighting for the big trophies like the Champions League and the league. You just can't really play a goalkeeper who you don't rate as much as the other keeper. It doesn't make sense when you're fighting on all fronts. So I think the writing was on the wall. As soon as Arsenal went in for Raya, I think Ramsdale's time was up, let's be honest. And I think you're just seeing the fruits of that bearing now. Like, I don't think there's any way back for him. And especially now, I think this is the nail in the coffin with his dad's comments. I don't think there's any way back from him. Regardless of how he does at the weekend, I just don't see him getting back into the team. I mean, I saw a report today that they're triggering the permanent deal now. I think it's 27 million, either in January or in the summer. And if that's made permanent, then Ramsdale might as well just start looking, unfortunately.
As Rob said, I think it was a bit embarrassing they actually name-checked David Raya, wasn't he? Didn't have to do that. Stick up for your own son if you have to go on a podcast, which I think all three of us can agree didn't have to. But to name-check David Raya, like you say, it was a bit muggy towards him. To kind of say he doesn't agree with the way Mikel Arteta has dealt with this situation, that's never going to end well. It was just naive every way you look at it. But to also, on top of that, his dad also called Jamie Carragher out on Twitter, didn't he? Because Carragher said during that Super Sunday, and I can't remember who you were playing, but Raya made a great save, and the cameras panned to Ramsdale, and he was like,
it was a Tottenham game, North London derby.
And Carragher was like, ignore that smile on his face. He's absolutely hating that. He cannot believe he's lost his place on the pitch. And Ramsdale's dad tweeted something back as though that shows a lack of class from you or something like that. And Carragher even mentioned it, like his dad's coming for him. But at the end of it all, it's Ramsdale's dad that showed the lack of class by going on and pretty much slagging off Raya and Arteta.
Well, I'm in a position with the situation where, look, Arteta's got enough in the bank and enough credit to make this decision, and the fans back him. That this is what he wants, and I think he's got enough credit in the bank for us to go, okay, Ramsdale's a good keeper, but he thinks Raya is better. I think it was more of an opportunist. I think there was obviously the breakdown in communication was happening, and Arteta wanted to get a keeper quickly, and he saw David Raya as maybe not better, but as good as Aaron Ramsdale. And it was an opportunity for him to bring in someone, because supposedly Ramsdale's been leaking stuff to the press regarding players being injured. You supposedly got someone at the Daily Mail called, I don't know if you've heard of a journalist called Sambi Mokul. I think it was Mokul. Supposedly Ramsdale's camp's been leaking information. For example, players getting injured, because Arteta's big on players before games, if there's injuries, keeping it under wraps. Every single time he does an interview. So every time he does an interview before the weekend, we've always got 8 injuries, but 7 of them end up playing, because he's very much likes to keep that under wraps. And supposedly Ramsdale was leaking information to the Daily Mail. So it's all starting to unravel. And I think once he does leave the club, Ramsdale's not the sort of person to keep quiet, and I think we're really going to find out what's actually happened between Arteta and Ramsdale.
Why is Ramsdale's dad so shocked at this? This is football.
His son did the same thing. His son did the same thing to Bernd Leno. His son did exactly the same thing. Leno was the keeper at the beginning of the season. Ramsdale came in. Leno played the first 3-4 games, and then Ramsdale came in. Exactly. He did exactly the same thing to Bernd Leno. And to be fair to Leno, he took it as a proper professional. He's gone off to Fulham. I would say, and he's doing really, really well. And he probably in the next couple of years might be looking at moving back to a top 6 club or move somewhere abroad to a European club. So there's ways that you deal with things. And for me personally, as a manager of other clubs, I'd be a little bit put off by the way that Ramsdale's dealt with this.
Yeah.
100%. And like I said 10 minutes ago, that's firmly on Ramsdale because he would have authorised this. But it's like Ramsdale and his dad a bit half sharp because when Andy Robertson took Alberto Moreno's left back spot in the Liverpool team like 5 years ago, Alberto Moreno's gran wasn't tweeting saying it's disgusting that Alberto Moreno's lost his left back spot. Like, why is this such a shock to him? This is football. It happens all the time.
Do you know what? I think personally, because we're in England, a lot of the English players have got a lot of power and they've got a lot of clout and they feel that they've got a lot of agents and people speaking for them and they leak to the press and they get this leverage. Like Maguire does it at United. Do you know what I mean? As soon as he was out the team, things were getting leaked left, right, and centre. and I just see it the same with Ramsdale. Like,
now Maguire's mum tweets something.
Yeah, exactly. Maguire's mum was on it as well. Like, that's interesting. You said that, Rob, about the leaks because we go on about United and United are a hot topic at the moment. And we talk about leaks, but we don't talk as a United fan. Apart from when I'm on the podcast, they don't really talk about other clubs, players leaking stuff to the press a lot. So for you to give me that insight is quite refreshing because I only thought that happened at United's dressing room.
But it was happening before. And what did Arteta do? He nipped it in the bud immediately. And I think this is what he's trying to do with this situation. He's trying to nip this in the bud immediately and show the players that are at the club now, the standards haven't slipped. You know, we've got to where we are at the moment by being a team, by keeping everything in the dressing room. And even if Ramsdale's leaked one or two little stories, it doesn't matter to Arteta. That will be the end for Ramsdale because he is so much fixated on keeping things in house. And it's clear that he hasn't done that. Yeah, it doesn't just go on at Manchester United, it goes on at other clubs, but it's how you deal with it. It can spiral out. You don't know who Ramsdale's best friends are in that dressing room. Is Ben White one of his best friends? And then Ben White wants to side with Ramsdale. You just don't know. So you have to nip it in the bud from the get-go. You have to nip it. And I think that's what the manager's trying to do.
Let's move on to more positive. I feel like we're going to say this on every single Arsenal stream, Rob. Declan Rice for England. He absolutely runs the show. Trav, would you agree with me that obviously we've hinted that Arteta's become a little bit of a tinker man? Basically, all Arteta had to do, and you might agree with me, Rob, was last season's side that was so good, so impressive, went so close to winning the league. All they had to do was drop a Declan Rice in there and then go again this season. He really is. He's a game changer. He's fantastic for England on the internationals, especially the last game against North Macedonia. Watched the second half. I don't watch that many England games. They bore me to tears, but I thought I'm going to sit down and watch the second half. Declan Rice was the only player on the field that came out of it with any credit. I don't know if you watched it, Trav, but your boy Rashford come on and had the worst 15 minutes I've seen from a professional footballer since Ali Dia had 15 minutes for Southampton.
Was he bad?
He was horrendous.
Oh, God. Yeah, but going back to your point, I think Arteta, in terms of the Tinkerman, I think he's had key injuries in key spots, like the party injuries been the big one. I think he's not been able to stay fit and get going this season. He's been quite inconsistent with the amount of game time that he's had. So I think Rice has probably played the 6 more than he's either wanted to or Arteta's wanted to play him there. He can do it. He can do it excellently, but I think Party Rice is the combo that everyone wants. Then obviously Odegaard's got injured as well. So I don't think he's been able to field his best team. And then you couple that with Jesus, Timber's injury from pre-season, Zinchenko's missed the chunk of the pre-season as well. So don't take it for granted. Arsenal have had more injuries than you'd probably think about when you think about it. They've had to patch up a lot of their squad. And I think the players that have played quite a lot, I know Saka's just recently got injured, but they've been very consistent. Tomiyasu's done well. I don't class him as a squad player because I think he's a top player. He's quite unlucky that he's not starting. He's got so much quality ahead of him. I think he's a really top draw player. So yeah, I think it's been down to them not being able to put their first team out. But I think it's testament to how strong the squad is and how good the manager is and the setup, because like I said, with the injuries that they've got, they've still managed to get the results in style. I mean, 1 defeat in the league. They're going great guns. They're right in the mix. And I expect him to be around there at the end of the season.
Rob, Declan Rice. You must pinch yourself. Liverpool are never going to be in for a Declan Rice. 100 million, maybe one day will stretch to him, but obviously he's come in for a pretty penny wages-wise. He'd have had a wage rise from West Ham. Let's be honest. He must be on $250,000 a week. Would that be about right there? And Liverpool do not sign players like that. You must pinch yourself. You've got him. And that's it. Boxed off for the next 10 years.
Yeah, they were saying... I think Saka's probably the highest earner at the club. I think maybe on 250. So I'm guessing Rice is around that region. But just before we came on the pod, Rice has actually been promoted in terms of the leadership group at England. So I think that shows when you look at the players in that England squad, I think it shows you, where people in this country see Declan Rice now as a player. I didn't think he was going to be as good as he has been. I don't know if I was just a little bit clouded by watching West Ham games and maybe me not seeing him so ball dominant in terms of on the ball, dictating games of play. But obviously when you're at Arsenal and you get a lot more possession, then that gives you the chance to show those skills. So yeah, he's still got room for development in that area, I think, in the 6.
100%.
100%, because for me, he can run a game in a totally different way to the way Thomas Partey runs a game. In terms, I think Rice can run a game with his energy and his ball recoveries, and don't get me wrong, his passing's good, but I think if you can get Thomas Partey on the ball on the half turn, he can absolutely, he can absolutely kill you. And I think that's what Odegaard's missed massively this season. I know he's missed a lot of football, but I think he's missed his mate in there, Partey, who just gets the ball and pops them balls in between the line for Odegaard to get on the half turn and start to create passes for Jesus, Martinelli and Saka when they play. But yeah, Rice has been absolutely phenomenal, and it just will be a big worry if he does, touch wood, he doesn't pick up any injuries from now to the end of the season, because I think when it comes to the crunch games, if we get into the knockouts of the Champions League and, games away at City, Anfield, I think he can really be a difference maker for us this year.
Travis, I'm going to ask you this first. Rob is a bit of a pessimist when talking about Arsenal, certainly in terms of predicting scores. Like Sheffield United, I think, did you say 2-0 or 2-1? I said 5-0 and got it right. And I'm a bit of a pessimist.
That's a 3.
2-0, yeah. And I'm a bit of a pessimist with Liverpool. So I'm going to ask you first, Trav. Do you think Liverpool or Arsenal are in a title race?
Yeah.
Or a Man City just
I think
inevitably?
I think you both are. I think Man City are definitely the favourites from the box seat, a point clear. They've got the squad, been there and done it. But you just never know. I mean, you just don't know what City not are going to prioritise, but you don't know what injuries they're going to get. I mean, I think Robot picked up a knock on international.
He's fine, man. He's fine, man. Software update, he's back, man.
Just had some replacement matches or something. But yeah, you just don't know what's going to happen with Man City. I'm not saying that they're not the favourites. They definitely are. But Arsenal and Liverpool have definitely got the squads to win the league and the managers to win the league. Arsenal got a little bit less experience than Liverpool in terms of going for the league and sustaining that challenge. But it's all new to Arteta. This is his first management job. I think he's done really, really well. And like you said, I think this is his 4th full year this is going to be, I think, or is it his 4th full year? Yeah, yes. So it'll be wiser from last year, even though you just narrowly missed out. I think he'll have more experience this year. So yeah, I think both teams are definitely in a title race for sure. I think Man City will be just looking over the shoulder, slightly worried about this game on Saturday, obviously between you two, is going to be a huge game. And Arsenal, if they can capitalize, one of them is going to drop points. You just don't know. So all Arsenal got to do is hang in there, see what they do in January, see what the squad's going to look like. I'm not sure if they'll dip into the market. There's a big outlay in the summer. I don't know what they'll prioritize. If there's a striker sniffing about that they can get in, just to get them over the line into the end of the season. But no, we'll see. But they're definitely in the title race for me, Arsenal. Yeah.
Rob?
Yeah, we're in the title race. So I don't think we. I don't.
Go on then.
Of course we are. Like
we're all giddy because international breaks over, innit? We're in a title race.
Exactly. Yeah, we're in a title. We're in a title race.
No, they're in a title race
until it's Visa.
Then it's 4.
No, but yeah, as things stand, I think you definitely have to say we are in the mix. We're definitely in the mix. We just need to get some players back. We need to get our players back. Odegaard's back this weekend, which will be good. Jesus played 90 minutes for Brazil. I don't think he'll start. I think he'll start Eddie because he played on Tuesday going into Wednesday over here. And then obviously he's got to travel back and he's just come back from injury. But we just need to get the players back fit. And I think obviously how far we get in the Champions League is going to have a massive part to play in that. Because if we do get to the latter stages of the Champions League, we might have to prioritize one and think which one have we got a better chance of winning, because we're not the man. People need to realise we are not Man City. We are not Man City. And to an extent, I don't think we're Liverpool. I think when Liverpool are ticking, and I think Liverpool are probably on foot, like when they're playing at the best, are probably better than Arsenal. So, yeah, we've got a lot of work to do, but I'm just happy with where we are at the moment.
Not to digress, do you think Liverpool are in a title race then, Rob?
Yeah, I do think you are. Yeah, I think you've got the firepower. I think you're different to us in a way that you'll always score goals. Where I do think there's games for Arsenal where we might struggle to score goals. I think we're very good defensively this year, but I always think Liverpool can go to the Etihad and score 3 goals. I don't think Arsenal can go to the Etihad and score 3 goals.
Yeah, I like that. Music to me is I don't think we're in a title race. I think the lack of a CDM, or a top draw CDM, should I say, is going to cost us. That could change in January if we enter the market, and I've got fingers crossed that we do. But I just think an injury to Alisson, an injury to Van Dijk, an injury to Salah, and it's curtains for us. And for that reason, we're relying on pure luck to get to the end of the season and mount a challenge. But I'm happy that you both think we're in a title race. I'll take that all day long.
But I think if Haaland gets injured for a period of time, it's going to affect them massively. I know they've got great players, but of course, if Liverpool lose Salah, if we lose Saka, if we lose any sort of players, but I do think Liverpool will be there towards the end. But you might just miss out, and the reason you miss out is because, like you said, you didn't sign a DM. But I think you will be with 10 games to go in the mix.
He's the one in Haaland. Like, I don't want to digress, but I think he's the one that just takes it away from everyone. Like, they don't have to.
Scary. It's scary when he does dip out though, and they just slot Alvarez in a more advanced position. And it's like they don't even miss him. Kevin De Bruyne hasn't kicked the ball this season, not missed him. Bernardo Silva is going under the radar.
About
15 games without Haaland.
Well, like a long stretch of games, they would massively miss him. But I'm talking about when they're not playing well, and you just still know he's gonna bag. It's just so annoying. Like, you just know he's going to score no matter what. Do you know what I mean? It's just disgusting, the consistency, man. They've
got variety to their play though. When he plays, they can literally get to the byline, and it doesn't even have to be a good ball. They just do that little dink ball, and they expect him to be there. But when he's not there for 15 games, the dynamics of their team does change a little bit. So I think they can, of course, they can cope without Haaland for 3-4 games, but can they cope without Haaland for 10 to 15 games? Yeah, of course they can, but it's definitely going to have an effect on them without a doubt.
Yeah.
Back to Arsenal. Rob, give us the inside info for international break. Who's picked up an injury? Who might play? Who might not play? What do you know?
I think everyone came back with a clean bill of health. We signed a new left back. Have you heard about that? We signed Kai Havertz. He played 2 games for Germany at left back. Yeah. Have you not heard?
I was like, I'm sure the window's shut.
So I reckon the team at the weekend will be Ramsdale in goal, Havertz at left back. Have you not heard? He played 2 games.
Did he play well?
He scored.
Was it left wing back or full left back?
He played left back. What's the German coach? Is it? What's his name again? The ex Munich manager.
Nagelsmann.
Yeah, he was saying that he sees Havertz playing there in the Euros.
That's mad, bro.
So
did he do well? Apart from the goal, did he do well? I didn't watch it.
Do you know you get the YouTube clips where you can like watch a performance and it's like 2 minutes, just every touch. It just looks stiff. It just, you know, like a left back. It just looked so uncomfortable. But yeah, supposedly played okay there. But
isn't Kai Havertz a bit of an oddball as well? You can imagine him retiring from international football off the back of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't believe it when I seen he was playing left back. But yeah,
playing left back.
Yeah, we didn't pick up any injuries. We obviously had the whole situation with Jesus going to the Brazil national team, where we were a bit upset that he'd gone. They wanted to take him there and do their own checks, because I think we've had a little to and fro with Brazil recently, where we had Martinelli, who we said was injured, and then straight after the international break he played. So they did their own checks on him. He didn't play the first game, but then he played 90 minutes against Argentina on Wednesday. So that's actually quite a good thing for us. He got a game under his belt, so hopefully he can get half an hour at the weekend. And Tomiyasu, I think the Japanese national team, they gave him a rest, which was good because he's obviously a big player for them, and they know that he's had a heavy load coming back from an injury himself. So they, I don't think they played him. So, but yeah, we've got a clean bill of health and a new left back.
I love that. Kai Havertz, left back. The shots just keep coming. What about Odegaard, Rob? Is Odegaard back?
Yeah, he's back in training.
Should I consider him for my FPL team?
Yeah, I think he'll start. I think he'll be back in the team. He was. I think Norway couldn't qualify, could they? So I think they were pretty okay with him staying back with Arsenal. So he stayed back with Arsenal, and he was in the training pictures today. So he should be good to go at the weekend.
Nice. Let's head straight to the score predictions. Travis, you go first. Obviously, me and you both know Brentford this season. You beat them 2-1 at OT with 2 injury time McTominay goals, and Liverpool actually sourced them 3-0 at Anfield 2 weeks ago. So we've got experience of Brentford this season without Ivan Toney. Are they going to cause Arsenal a problem?
They're not the same Brentford as we've seen in the last couple of seasons, are they? I think they've dropped off a little bit. Like you said, I think the Toney thing has affected them massively in terms of their goal output. They're not a side that, I know you blasted them, but normally they're not a side that concedes lots of goals, and they're also a side that don't normally score a lot as well. The games are normally tight. So I think it will still be a test for Arsenal, just from that physical element with Mbeumo, and like you said, Wissa up top. They'll have a lot of legs. They'll cause Arsenal some problems, but I just think Arsenal will just have that little bit too much quality for them. I think 2-0 Arsenal personally. I don't think Brentford will score, but I think they will make it difficult. But I think Arsenal will just nick it. 2-0.
2-0. Rob?
I'm going to go. Come on, I got to go for a win, and I got to pick a win one week. When we got Luton, I can pick a win that week. No, I think we'll win 2-0. I'm actually very interested to see how Brentford will set up, because I'm interested to see will they put men behind the ball, let us dictate the play, and then try and hit us on the break? Because in Mbeumo and Wissa, like Trav said, they've got two of probably the best players on the counter attack in the league. Or will they think, let's have a go at them, which I think would suit us better. I'd rather them had a go at us, to be honest.
Yeah,
and the game opens up a little bit. But I'm going to go 2-1. We've got some good fixtures coming up now. I think this is, if we can get a win here, we've then got Wolves at home and Luton away, and I think we will be in a good position. But this is the big game. This is, and I think we'll win 2-1.
Nice one. Just to inform you both, I've got Arsenal in last man standing. It's a real tough week this week. It's real tough.
Straight after international break as well. It's dodgy. Arsenal will do it, but it's dodgy. It is a dodgy.
It's not just that. I don't know if you looked at the 10 fixtures. There's not a gimme in there.
Yeah. No.
Oh, yeah.
Like Luton at home to I think it's Bournemouth or something. I just can't rely on anything.
Everton at home, that's nailed on.
But yeah, I've took Arsenal. Don't be fooled by the Liverpool 3 Brentford. No, I don't know if any has caught any of the game, but Brentford were sharp, as Rob just said, on the counter attack. They caused us problems, especially in the first half.
Yeah, Brentford are a good team, and you got to remember the games against Liverpool and United were at home, so they're at their home this time, and that obviously always makes a massive difference. You guys were saying they're not doing too well, but I'm sure They're in the top 10, aren't they? Which is probably where they were last year. Where are they? Top 10? I've not looked at the table.
They're about 10th. They may be about 10th. I'm just saying in terms of the performance levels, like,
yeah,
I just don't think, like you said, I think they caught everybody by surprise when they got promoted. I don't think everybody expected them to be as good as they were. And then they carried that on and kicked on. But I just think this year they're just finding it a little bit more difficult. I think the Tony thing's a huge factor, though. Obviously, they're taking 15 goals out of their team. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, they've lost Christian Eriksen as well, who was dictating from deep. So that they were two big losses for them.
And they've lost their keeper.
Exactly. So they've lost the spine of the team. So it's not really a surprise. I think, like you said, I think from a performance standpoint, they have just dipped off a little bit. They're not going to go down or anything daft like that. They're strong. Like you said, they're physical. They went to Stamford Bridge and got 3 points. And like you said, I expect him to probably play like they did against Chelsea, soak it up, maybe a little 3 at the back, couple of wing backs and that, dead tight, play on the counter. It will be difficult for Arsenal, but I just think ultimately the quality of Arsenal will just be a little bit too much for him.
I think a lot of Arsenal's games this year are going to be, if we get the first goal, we'll win.
Yeah,
because we're all about that controlling element, and if we can get that first goal, I think the mentality of the players now is, okay, now you come on to us, and then that's when we'll try and pop you off. I really like that Jensen as well, who plays for Brentford. He's a really good player, so you've got to keep your eye on him as well.
And not forgetting, it's a London derby, and it's at Brentford, and they're a quality side. Like we've just said, they've lost a few players. Obviously, they could do with Ivan Toney, but my score prediction is a goals galore 3-2 to Arsenal.
Would you have lost though, Scott? We've not lost in 14 derbies, London derbies, in our last 14. So we're due a loss. Just let you know.
Are you worried about the game in any way? Like straight
I'm always worried about when Arsenal play. I think any away game in the Premier League's tough, and this is Brentford away is not a gimme. No way is Brentford away a gimme. Luton away wasn't a gimme for Liverpool, so Brentford away is going to be even less of a gimme.
I'll tell you what, these teams are picking up their form, like Luton, Sheffield United. I look at the fixtures now. There's not really any gimmies. Maybe Burnley would be a bit of a gimme, but they've.
I think the other teams are only scared of Man City. I think that's the team that only, like, the other teams in the league are actually scared of, petrified of. I think the other teams believe that they can get points off everyone else on their day, but Man City, they probably believe they can't. Not that they can't, but you know.
Yeah, but then Man City will lose to Wolves. Man City are prone to losing away to Palace, like weird games like that.
They're already at one cup. Yeah, it's interesting, man.
Right, lads, cheers for your time. Let's head into the weekend. If anyone's made it this far, don't forget to like and, of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Me and Obi are going to be on tomorrow at 5:30 to do a Man City versus Liverpool preview. We're going to do a combined 11. Rob and Trav, if any of you can join for that, that'll be great to give a bit of balance and not let me and Obi fill it with all 11 Liverpool players. That'll be cool. But yeah, we'll be on and off over the weekend. Sorry, Rob, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, did you see Gabby Agbonlahor? He's 1 to 11 of Villa players, 9 Villa players, and 2 Spurs. So that's what you were going to do, Scott, tomorrow.
Definitely. I'm going to struggle to be putting any Man City players in, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try and be sensible with it. But yeah, nice one, lads. I'll see you on the next one. Nice one. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Header. But Gerrard! Oh, you beauty! What a head!